Hello everybody and welcome to episode 4 of building an Imperial Refinery in LEGO. In this episode I get a huge amount of progress on the pit done, completing all of the wall sections as well as getting some of the pillar sections done, but sadly had a setback with the top edge of the pit. And so without further ado, let's get into a time lapse. Okay everybody, so as you can see from the time lapse and a lot more work, I was able to finally get the pit put together, and you can have a little peek in there, but I will show you that section of it in just a sec. First, I just want to go around the edge and just kind of talk about a couple of things. Firstly being the attachment to the actual base plate. that on each side is actually all I'm going to do because of how off-centered this whole thing is and not exact. So I had to pretty much just attach it in 2 places and leave the rest open, especially since it doesn't really matter for the platform up here or where it hits the ground down there. The only place it might get a little bit weird is with the angled wall here, but otherwise that should be completely fine. Now, moving on to this whole mess up here, you can see I got every wall section done, and I also was able to get the base design of the tower, the front of the tower done, and was able to finish this one. These ones I still need rods and all the pipes inside, plus the pieces for the rest of it. I don't have enough for more than one, like one of these, and this one needs to go down a wall way down to the bottom. Now, as you can see, there is quite a bit of work done on this section here, which is going to sadly have to be scrapped for 2 main reasons. The first one being that I designed it in, just a section of 3, which worked for that, but it was super difficult to even get in the right place. And now putting in multiple together, there ends up being gaps here, and you can see there's gaps there. And once I got it about 3/4 done, I could see pretty much every one of them was going to have a plate-sized gap, which just wasn't going to work. So I sadly have to scrap this design and completely redo it, which is fine because I didn't completely love the look of this anyway. I wanted something just a little bit more like that, and this just wasn't perfect. I already started playing around with it, and that's why these are different. And then moving on to what probably the biggest problem is with these sections was that, as you can see, these line up with the edges, the outer edges of these, and that is a problem because that means the outer edge won't be able to make contact like this. If you can see, it won't be able to make contact like that, and it's a much larger gap. If my camera would focus, it's more of a gap like that, which just doesn't work. So bye-bye to that design, and that will actually be put kind of on the back burner for now, and I will be moving on to starting the interior of the base down here so I can get the platform built up before I do much more work on the pit, because these will need the support, and the pit could also use the support. These are pretty flimsy. So without further ado, let's get into the main attraction, all the details inside the pit. And now for the interior of the pit. After moving a few things around and getting a light directly above, it gives a much better view of the interior. Now, as you saw from the time-lapse, I built a few of these sections on camera, and quite a few of the boring ones, such as like that one there that just has one little addition, or this one here that just has 2 little black tiles that are just boring and didn't really show you much. But I got a lot of the cool ones done on camera. I'm not too sure if I showed this one last episode, or if I maybe made this right after last episode, but this huge pipe is on the side with the angled wall, and I will have it running out of the back along the wall and having it go down through the terrain down here, which should look pretty cool. And There are a few other sections that I really enjoy, like that yellow pipe there, or these little vents I really love the design of using the arch piece. And then the very light bluish gray, I recommend picking some up if you have the money and just want some extra detail in your mocks, because it looks really good, especially from a distance. It just adds so much more detail. And so, moving on to the lighting, if you were paying attention in the time-lapse, I added a set of lights, which actually turned into 2. Now, turning the overhead light off, as well as turning the lights on, you can see it really adds a lot to the pit. And even with the light on, it adds a lot. It's a little harder to actually see the glowing light on the tiles, but it looks really nice, and I'm really happy with how the 2 sets of lights turned out. And if I spin the mock around, I can show you a much better look at this side with those 2 lights there, as well as that red pipe, which has a little, if it will focus, has a little lever that will be kind of maybe a pressure release of some kind, and has this ladder going down to it, so it is easily accessible for the maintenance crew. And that is actually pretty much all the detail inside of the pit. I know now that I'm explaining it, it actually sounds like a lot less, but the amount of sections is surprisingly large for how little room there is. There's 30 sections here, yet only about 2/3 of them have some kind of little detail, and this almost looks overcrowded, which I was surprised by. I thought it would be undercrowded, but although it has a couple flaws throughout, I am still very happy with the final product, and I will hopefully be getting the sections up here redesigned so I can get the pit fully finished as soon as I get the platform up to height. Anyways, that is going to wrap up this episode of building an Imperial Refinery in LEGO. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing so you don't miss another episode of the series. And overall, I think I made a really good amount of progress this episode, and should be making a lot more next episode, so stay tuned for that, and see you guys in the next video.